Greetings and salutations, you wonderful internet denizens of the deep web, of the web so far. Today is Traveller. This is specifically, I had to look at it because I keep switching them up. Mongoose. I sometimes mix up Mongoose with Modiphius. And they both use their own systems. Where in the case of Mongoose, they have a broad range of systems, where Modiphius uses a 2d20 system, and modifies it heavily for each different system they want, game setting they want to go with. But in the case of Mongoose Traveller 2nd edition, this is not the actual 2nd edition if you count all Traveller TTRPGs. There's at least say 6 or 7 editions or edition-esques for the original classic Traveller. The weird thing is there's a few half editions in there here and there, and this happens to be a half or a 0.1 edition. So this is basically Traveller 2.1 edition, or other words, update 2022, because apparently Mongoose is trying to out-evolve Paizo and Wizards of the Coast with making small refinements to their system periodically. However, they're all chasing the greatness that is Shadowrun 6th World, which is on its 3rd revised version of the core rulebook, which I have coming in the mail soon. But anyways, this MSRP is for $60, and it is a really solid book. You can knock a person out if you hit it really hard. It's a high quality book. You get to play as wolf people and lion people in it. Traveller actually has a extremely broad range of races or species that you can play as within it. However, in this core rulebook, there's only the handful of core ones. And by the way, it doesn't make a super big deal difference which race you play or species. It just adds another layer. Now, here's a fun thing. I love this, is that they actually, in here, they explain Traveller in a very simple manner, and then they explain there's actually several campaign styles here. And now, this is not even 1/100th of the campaign styles you could play in Traveller. That's an exaggeration, but it's not by much. Traveller is one of those TTRPGs that somehow figured out, the genius Mark Miller somehow figured out how to design a system that is capable of basically actually doing what people with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition tries to do. It can literally do everything. You can literally do everything with Traveller. You can do Dungeons & Dragons better than Dungeons & Dragons with Traveller. Then Dungeons & Dragons can do Traveller in Dungeons & Dragons. Traveller is also a exceedingly simple and refined system that you only need a few D6s and a D20. Pretty much all D6s in the system. In fact, I had a brain fart for there, and I said D20. No, it's one of those systems where you could literally just have a few dice, and you could just rock on through the system. In fact, they don't even bother putting the D6 in there. They just simply put a 2D or a 2D plus 3 or 2D minus 2 or a 3D minus 2 or something like that, or 3Ds. But anyways, you can pretty much just play it with D6s. in Traveller, you could play a trader campaign, you could play a pirate campaign, you could play a military campaign, you could play explorer campaign, you can play a classic Traveller campaign, you can play, as I said, a pirate campaign, you can play a horror campaign, you can play all kinds of campaigns. You can play a business campaign. You notice the first one I referenced is the trader campaign on there. There's actually many different variants of trader, but generally in Traveller you can do just about everything. You could trade goods from planet to planet, and your characters can make their fortune just by trading robot parts or spices or linens or various other things from one region to another. They could go into a military campaign and actually battle in wars. The system is that robust. You're going to play Explorer campaign where your characters are traveling out into the far out space. You can literally just be going like Star Trek. You can go out discovering brave new worlds and meeting strange new peoples, going where no man has or woman has gone before. Or you can play the classic Traveller campaign, which is kind of a blend of all of them. You know, you kind of go out, you do some deeds, you pick up some cargo here and there, you transport that cargo to another place, you sell it for extra money. Your Varger gets in a fight with someone and is arrested. You have to break them out of jail. You have to go to the capital. All kinds of fun stuff. There's also a section right here on further reading. Traveller Companion, High Guard, the Third Imperium books, Behind the Claw, Central Supply Catalog, Vehicle Handbook, Robot Handbook, Pirates at Drynax, which is a major adventure campaign for Traveller. It's actually considered one of the best. Traveller is a system that can be scaled to literally every era of human history or even beyond history. You can have a Lost Planets campaign. I actually was writing up a Lost Planet campaign where players crash land on a planet and all their crap is broke, and they had to survive on a planet of various creatures, which is a tech level 0 planet. Or you can have a tech level 0, 1, or 2. It ranges all the way up to tech level 15, which is high stellar. So in Traveller, you can really go the range. You can play a campaign that is you're on a planet fighting monsters with swords, or you're on a planet like Coruscant with extremely advanced technology everywhere, cyborgs, robots, droids, everything all over the place, lifts and everything, high intrigue and such. Traveller has a really unique, interesting character creation system where you basically start as a wee little baby, and then you as a sequence of events occur, you roll your character through their life from their young years. You pretty much skip the baby stage, by the way, and you go to the stage in which you actually start making major decisions. But anyways, you start out as a young adult, and then you roll your way through. Do you go to the academy, or you go into the military, or stuff? You establish your backstory by rolling up your character here and there, and then choosing at various points what two members of your adventuring party happen to be a part of your formative life. You may have run into your friend over there capturing a pirate ship at some point. You just run into them. They happen to have been military, and you were in the scout services, and you had to capture a ship. You run into capture a pirate ship, and go from there. You gain some skills from that, and then you keep adding up as it goes. By the way, Seth Sharkowski actually has a really good video series on Traveller on his YouTube channel. So I highly suggest you go over there and check it out. Particularly, he focuses on Traveller 2nd Edition from Mongoose Publishing. I have to remind myself, it's Mongoose Publishing. But anyways, as you go through these rolled stages where you talk with your friends about, oh yeah, this time we went there, we met accidentally ran into each other, you helped me out with this thing, you got a skill, I got a skill in this, what skill did you get in from this event, okay, and just keep rolling on, and you guys decide at what point you muster out of that career path and become a true traveler, and then you start officially playing the game. So all the stuff I was just talking about up to now, up to this very moment, was session 0 with you and your buddies, establishing your weaving backstories between each other, establishing rivals for your backstory, and all that other fun stuff. So it's actually a really nice system for building in layers to your characters, so that the game master can have enemies come back from your past, and actually you guys actually have established and talked through what that was, so therefore it actually is truly meaningful, as opposed to, oh, this mystery character just randomly shows back up in a D&D campaign or a Pathfinder campaign, and then you guys have to kind of like talk it over, like, or let the game master just do their thing and then deviate from your original idea if you didn't exactly word it out properly. But anyways, there's numerous tables here, like agent. If you wanted to be an agent, or you wanted to go into the army, as I said before, or you wanted to be a citizen, you just wanted to be a private citizen, a drifter, an entertainer, a marine, a merchant, navy, noble, rogue, scholar. By the way, this is not your classes. This happens to be your backstory, what stage in your life you decided to go down, because you could like, hey, I wanted to be a scholar, I got good rolls, I did that for a few years, and then I got out of it and I went into the Navy. And here's Scout. And then I did Navy for a few years, and then I enjoyed that very much, so I went a few more years as a drifter. I met up with this person, we had this event, I met up with that person, or they met up with another person and had a fun event, and all in a circle on the table. That's your backstory establishment. And then when you muster out, you get benefits, like you might get a spaceship, you might get a ton of credits, you might walk away with a gun, armor, all kinds of stuff, with your starting gear, basically. And then from there, you got it going, you got your choices. By the way, if you want to do this fast, you got skill packages. So if you have a character that died in the middle of a campaign, you can just pre-pick from a selection that is in the book from the skill packages, and then throw that character together, and boom, you're ready to go. Unless you really want to go through the whole step. You have this whole section on the Aslan, which is one of the races. You have this really nice section talking about their physiology, their culture, and so forth. They have an interesting extra claw that actually pops out of their palm. You got the Varger. Once I get people to play Traveller, and then at some point I manage to not be the game master, I'm going to play a Varger. Yeah. I'm not a furry or anything, but you know, damn right I play a wolf person. Then you play humans. By the way, humans don't have any real special traits or anything. They're the vanilla of the universe. Vargr and Oslin and the various other species have extra special characteristics. Humans are just generic. You know, you're whatever skill package you get. These are all the skills in the system, like athletics, art. Oh my goodness, you have art, athletics, breaker, carousing, deception, diplomat, drive, electronics, engineer, explosives, flyer, gambler, gunner, gun combat, a gun combat skill, heavy weapons, investigate, jack of all trades, language, leadership, mechanic, medic, melee, navigation, persuade, pilot, a profession, which ties into your previous professions. It actually has a special chain, specialties that are related to whether you want to be a belter, you want to be a belter or something else. You got recon, science, seafarer, stealth, stewards, streetwise, and so these are not jobs; these are professions. These are skills, kind of like intimidation or arcana or something like that in Dungeons and Dragons. You got survival, tactics, vac suit, because wearing a special suit actually requires some skill to use. How to operate the controls, and how to effectively move around it, because you need training in that. You got a nice little section on combat. Interestingly enough, combat, the initiative system is based off of a dexterity or an intelligence check. So either way, if your character is not really dexy, they can be really smart and get ahead of the game. All the important little details about actions, different rules about dodging, driving, diving, cover, parrying, and so forth. Weapon traits and so forth. I haven't even really busted through this book. This is like 200 pages. Encounters and dangers. This talks about like poison, fatigue, radiation, and so forth. You could have a post-apocalypse campaign where your character, you could just like have it that your characters are on a planet, it's wrecked as heck, and there's rules for radiation poisoning and fatigue and starving and suffocation and temperature and vacuum and weather rules and so forth. So if you really wanted to do a zombie survival horror situation, you could do a zombie survival horror situation. Fun fact, Traveller actually has a very important detail about it. It's aliens before aliens, or alien before alien. Ridley Scott's Alien was released after an adventure in Traveller, which basically had pretty much the whole plot of Alien in it. Like 3 years before Alien was released for sale. So you're going to have a moment here. You got some animals, some interesting creatures, but then a little section on behavior. I think one of my Traveller books, it actually has a photo of the actual alien, but that predates Alien. That has the characteristics of Alien, like acidic blood and stuff like that. But you have rules here for starports, rural encounters, random target tables, patrons and missions and so forth. There is actually a very meaty section. The front portion of this book is mostly for the players, but you got like rules here for all the other fun stuff. You got various vac suits and armored battle dresses. That defenses, augmentation. You can have your wafer jack. You can have a replaced mechanical hand, like in a cyberpunk game or Shadowrun. You can have a replaced eye. You can have computers, laptops, all the other fun stuff, and so forth. Various communications and scanning devices. Survival gear, like scuba equipment, and much, much more. Most items have photos for them. However, not all of them do. As I said, in Traveller, going from the talk earlier about tech level, from level 0 to 15, you can have weapons in Traveller that are extremely advanced melee weapons that use energy or project a field, all the way down to a stick with a rock attached to it. A stick with a rock attached to it. You can have swords. There's rules for swords, daggers, clubs, cutlasses, improvised weaponry, shields, rapiers, staves, stun sticks, and so forth. You have various slug throwers, basically like antiquated handguns, antique pistols, revolvers, shotguns, and so forth. But you also have rail guns and plasma guns and Gauss rifles and all the other fun stuff in here too. So you can have a very broad range. See, there's a good example. Antique pistol, high-end stuff. So that is the really cool thing about Traveller, is that there's so much. It's not super complicated at all as far as the rules are concerned, but it happens to just have enough mechanics and rules spread through that covers all the bases in such a fashion that's an exceedingly efficient fashion that you could literally dial wherever you want to have your adventure in time. So you got grenades and various other stuff, and flamethrowers, and other fun heavy weapons, and a rocket launcher with its own platform that you can put down, and so forth. Various explosives, weapons options. You have rules on vehicles. There's, by the way, an entire book on vehicles. There's an entire book on spaceships. There are awesome. You get a lot of stuff with this core rulebook just for what you need. But when you really want to like have a super large variety of vehicles, there is a vehicles book. There is a spaceships book. There is a armory book. You got a nice variety of stuff. And as I said before, you can play Alien in Traveller if you really wanted to. You could play Star Wars in Traveller if you really wanted to. You can play Mad Max if you really wanted to in Traveller. You could play Dungeons and Dragons in Traveller. You can play just about anything you really wanted to. By the way, the nice character sheets, by the way. Notice how this is a keyed informative example of a player sheet of various other things. This is specifically a ship. So if you wanted to build your own ship and have it designed out, this is a player sheet for your ship. I said a player sheet and a character sheet, not fully registering that I said the wrong thing. But more stuff on encounters with space ships. My hand is starting to cramp. You got rules on weapons, travel, jumping, so you know how fast your ship travels in a given time. It's actually pretty simplified down and worked out, so it's not a ton of crazy. Rules on constructing ships, rules on space combat, and much, much more. It's actually exceedingly well written. There's nice big bold lettering at the top of every little thing, so you can easily see when it changes subject very effectively. But also you have this really nice fact that you have already jumped a few pages. You got a design checklist, so you want to build your own specific special spaceship, you can. There's basic rules on that. And then you have a whole variety of spaceships with deck floor plans with an actual photo of the actual ship and stats. So if you don't want to build your own ships, you have ships already built. You have a nice variety here of ships of many different varieties and styles. Skip a few here. They range anywhere from huge to just big enough for 1 or 2 people. And then, here's another fun thing. There's also psionics in Traveller as well, which basically is kind of like their own magic system. So if you want to have psionics in your world and have your characters be psionic, you can do so. If you don't want characters to be psionic, you can easily just say no, or talk with your players about it and leave it out, or something like that. But there's a whole bunch of rules here on how to build a psionic character. And there's also a special psionic career here that your character can go through to gain psionic abilities or develop the psionic abilities they have inside them. And then they could go through the standard mustering out process on that. You have a trade section here, which is basically the economy rules, where it explains the economic system of Traveller, and it does so in such a fashion that allows for people to buy and sell trades and stock and various other things from one planet to another, or one individual to another individual. So if you really wanted to, say, like, have your players, if your players are the type of players who practically want to start as street ruffians, and at some point, from young age, and at some point build a massive trade empire that transports trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of credits worth of material from one end of the galaxy to the other end of the galaxy, they can do that in Traveller. You can go from you can have a campaign that goes from you're on a primitive planet fighting dinosaurs and other ancient creatures, to a super high-tech Traveller campaign and adventure, or from your street rats fighting for scraps on the street to you guys basically own a massive corporation that owns several solar systems in one corner of the galaxy, and you trade goods back and forth with everyone. So if you really wanted to do that in Traveller, you can. It just takes a matter of time for your characters. There's even rules on illegal goods and making a living on that. So, hey, you want to get into the spice trade, you can. So there's a handy dandy chart. And then there's a world and universe creation set where, you don't want the pre-built universe with trillions and trillions of worlds and unique biomes and everything else we've already pre-made for you with beautiful range of campaign settings. You can literally just go create your own universe with your own galaxies and create your own worlds, and then create your own cultures and go from there. So it explains how everything ties into that, the basic logic of the system that allows you to build from all the way from the universe, big scale thing, all the way down to geography is everything, and everything else. Government structures, population, cultural differences, law level, law and travelers, starports, tables on sentencing for criminal acts. You got tech level information here, or how to determine tech level by the planet. You have a code system, a trade code system, that basically when you see a planet or a system, so you get a code here that tells you, is it safe to go there? Green. Is it kind of or is it, oh my goodness, it's red, and you better stay away, otherwise you're in deep trouble. You got trade codes. And then you have a nice little index back here, and so forth. And then, as I said before, Traveller has tons and tons. Mongoose has tons and tons of Traveller content in their product line. So, and they got number on the spine. This is book 1, but this is the second book 1. There's an older version of this book, as I said, the original Traveller 2nd edition book. This system, everyone who's ever really gotten into Traveller and has played a couple campaigns or adventures in Traveller seems to eventually come to the point of, if they can just get into the groove of Traveller and understand it, they seem to absolutely love Traveller outright. It's just one of those systems that the range of freedom you can have in your adventures can be ridiculous, but you can also shrink it down to something very precise and themed, and that's amazing. This is one of those situations, as I said before, it's a system that achieves what a lot of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition players and dungeon masters tried to do with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, where a lot of those players and dungeon masters, a lot of the new ones, really want to try to do everything with it, and then they mod like crazy to just get anywhere close to what they want. And they mod it to such an extent that they even rip out almost 75% of the rules and change most of it, or change almost all the rules, which is kind of weird if you change almost everything in the system, with the exception of the D20 rule and damage structure. Are you really playing Dungeons and Dragons anymore? You're playing a derivative version of Dungeons and Dragons, somewhat practically its own system. Companies sell entire systems that are basically just that, but 50% new stuff, 50% Dungeons and Dragons. Traveller, on the other hand, is one of those systems where the system is just crunchy. It's one of those systems. It's a mid-grade crunch, but you can scale. You can take the dial and crank it up to heavy crunch if you want it. You just don't have to. But the system is really easily super broad, yet it can be dialed to be super precise, and yet it's still not incredibly complicated in the slightest. You can always just hand wave a bunch of the really complicated things, or there's enough structures that allow for an easy flow going through it. You don't have to really worry about it. You just jot details down. But anyways, this book is beautifully put together. It is actually really well written from front to back, and then there's a ton of stuff, and it's enough core mechanics in this book for you to do just about anything you really want to. But then Mongoose did something really nice. As I said, I remember in the beginning when I said handbook, a robot handbook, vehicles handbook, stuff like that. Let's go back to that. You have Traveller Companion. The Traveller Companion is essentially the Game Master Guide for Traveller. It basically has a lot of the aids for the Game Master to run Traveller, but also has a whole bunch of other tools that the Game Master can hand to the players just to add more depth to their characters. High Guard is a book all about spaceships. There's actually another book that just released is also all about spaceships. So you got 2 books about spaceships. 2 big old books all about spaceships that you can easily have a beautiful variety of spaceships in. You have Third Imperium, which is basically the Empire, or a super campaign setting. You got Behind the Claw, which is also another campaign setting. You have Central Supply Catalog, which is basically a book on more weapons, more adventuring gear, more tools that your characters can buy and use. You got a vehicle handbook. You're talking about you have 2 books on spaceships. Here's another book of race cars and bikes and trains and boats and planes and balloons and walkers and submarines and battle suits, battle mechs, stuff like that. And then you have Robot Handbook, which is a book that's loaded with robots. It's a book of robots in there. You got Pirates of Dreadnoughts, as I said before, which is another campaign setting. You have a huge variety of options in this system. And interestingly enough, it is a build and roll system, much like, say, Cyberpunk Red, and with some degrees. This is more roll in itself, as well as, say, the Mutant Epoch. The Mutant Epoch is heavy roll. This is moderate roll, and moderately light for Cyberpunk Red. But anyways, you got tons of options in this book as the game master and as the players, and it's not overly complicated. There could be a new version of the starter set. I actually did a video a long time ago of the original starter set for Traveller 2nd Edition from Mongoose Publishing. They discontinued that, but periodically it does pop up on sales on eBay and Amazon. Go and check that video out. You can find the link to the Amazon account, and you can check it out if it's for sale on Amazon. So thank you very much. Same thing with this one here, with this video. This system and this book looks like it. This book and system looks like it's a 4.75 star system. It's simple enough that you could easily play through it. From my perspective of what I have known, I have yet to play or run this system. It just looks like it's a 4.75 star system. The sheer range of options, and yet it all makes sense as you read through it, with an occasional minor error here and there, or in the older version of this book. Look, if you have the older version, it's a little harder to make sense of a few things, but this newer version mostly he cleans up a good chunk of that. All the expansions, like the vehicle book, add so much value to this. It's not funny. There is at least 8 major campaigns with various box sets just for this system already, as well as dozens upon dozens of other adventures and add-ons. What I really would love from Mongoose, I really would love it from Mongoose to release card sets with rules like a condition card set, a weapons card set, species card set, creature card set, vehicle card set, spaceship card set, and so forth, because that would make it so much easier to learn this system for new players and for the game masters to manage and run the system. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a delightful day, and nice night, wonderful weekend, magnificent month, and see you next time. Ciao.